Once again, I want to thank you. I want to thank you all very much for sitting up with us, being up with us. I know some of you guys have been writing the entire show. Um, and guess what? Awesome news. Facebook is doing the same thing they did to us last year, and they are cutting us out, not allowing us to play um, on their systems anymore. So that's not a good thing. Thank you very much, Facebook, for uh, playing this wonderful game you're playing. So leave it up to them to try to screw me up. But you know what? That's fine, because what we'll do is we'll just go in, we'll share the link, and when we go in and share the link, people can see it anyway. So joining me on this hour are really good friend of the program, really good friend of the show. You've seen him on here many, many times, and you guys know my love and my respect for him. And one of our wonderful, wonderful giving partners is also joining us here pretty soon. We're going to have Les rejoining us as well to help to finish out with Carmen. But first and foremost, we're going to bring out my brother, Brian Gibson. Brian, how you doing?
Hey, brother, I'm hanging in there.
Well,
Just fight.
I appreciate it. I know things have been tough, man, and we're, you know, all the love, all the support that we can send your way. We're doing our very best. So, uh, the one thing that I can say on a positive note is that this, except for of course, Facebook playing their little reindeer games, uh, this has been by far the best year we've had, attendance wise and conversation wise and everything. And I know adding you to the circle, I know this is going to just make it so much better. So I appreciate it greatly.
Oh, brother, I will always make time for you.
I appreciate it. Also joining us right now is a really good friend, and a she's been a partner for quite a while, Carmen Booker. How are you doing, sweetheart?
Hi, I'm doing pretty good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here and support you all.
Yeah, you know what? I am thrilled to have you here. Again, we are, we're just, this is our third year. We're really making a difference. And people, the greatest thing is that, people are finally starting to see what Carmen, Brian, and myself, what we've been trying to do this whole time. And it's making donating to wonderful causes. It's making it as easy as we possibly can. Okay. Turning a purchase into a donation. So, um, Brian, we're going to talk to you first. Why don't you go on ahead and introduce yourself to people, and let's get people understanding who you are and what is Project Die Hard.
Okay. Well, my name is Brian Gibson. I am the founder and president of Project Die Hard. We were founded in 2018 after I got the call from the wife of one of my best brothers, who said that Eric was hanging in the garage. I myself is a 26-year Army veteran, combat medic, and I started this when I've lost more to that demon suicide than in multiple combat tours. Uh, could you bring up that slide deck?
Yes, I can. Here you go.
Okay. We are a faith-based, scripture-led veteran nonprofit working with the blessings that we receive. We ask people to pray, share, volunteer, and donate. A big thank you goes out, and God bless, to the Community Pay It Forward group. With your blessings in the past year, because I was on last year, so this is my annual update for you guys. This is what was done. Forward Operating Base Rush is open to in-person events.
Awesome.
So, what does that mean? Contact us if you want to use the facility. and over 400 veterans received fellowship support with a free meal.
That's beautiful, man.
Yep, that's a couple pictures of what we have up so far. We do invite other ministries and nonprofits to use our facilities at no cost to them to help bring hope to heroes. We are still seeking patrons, ministry partners, resource partners, mission suppliers, facility suppliers, and Club 22 members. You can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. Sharing our mission helps find these great people. Donated in 2020, Forward Operating Base Rush, 20 acres with a 10,000 square foot building, was donated. Named after Sergeant Courtney Rush of the United States Air Force. You can see pictures of where we're sitting and what it needs to be. It will provide 12 single veterans and 2 veterans with their families traditional housing for up to a year, with skill training, counseling, employment, therapies. It's for veterans who wants to better themselves, whether for a day, a weekend, a month, or up to a year, at no cost to the veteran. It is a beacon of hope. This is just the first. We've already had 20 acres this year donated to us in Pennsylvania. That is going to be Forward Operating Base Quinn. This is our need right now, our outreach program. We need corporate sponsors. So if you know of a company or an individual that would like to help sponsor our outreach programs, hey, let them know about us. How do you help? Well, you pray, as we always take prayer. You share Project Die Hard with everybody you know. Volunteer, right? It takes a team to do this. And of course, donate. Become a patron today. You can scan the code, go to the website. Any monthly amount helps. It supports our events and facility. No leader receives a salary in Project Die Hard. That's it, brother.
You know, Brian, look, from where we were just a couple years ago, where we were a couple weeks ago, my brother, this is such wonderful news because, you know, things are, as you know, as you've said, look, things can, you know, things can be down, but we've just got to keep the faith. We got to keep working at this, you know. We got to continue as a team. That's all there is to it. Say it.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
There you go. There you go. Waiting for it. So, you know, look, we are working hard and we are working with wonderful people like everyone who's been watching today. And you know what? We have had so many people pop on and they've dedicated that 22 minutes to watching. We've got wonderful people who come on every hour to win that trip to Cancun. We've got, you know, we've just got people who are responding and saying, this is great. These conversations mean a lot. This is what we've been working for, brother. This is, you know, we're getting the message. And most importantly, we're sharing the message. We're sending the message out. We're letting people know we're here. We're trying. Try with us.
Yeah, again, that's the whole thing. Like Will Black and that Cancun trip, right?
Yeah.
Well, we work with him too under the sharing the credit. So a business can reach out to Will, save money on their credit card fees, and support our mission. Wow.
And it's seriously becoming, look, it's becoming a family. And that's what we've always wanted this to be. We wanted this to be a family. We want to make sure that people go and visit Carmen and understand what she's doing. And she's going to explain, one of her passions has been working with nonprofits for years and years and years, and trying to help people understand nonprofits. Because let's be honest, and Brian, you can attest to this. The formation and all the other stuff that you have to do with a nonprofit, it's enough to drive a man crazy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Look, folks, if you want to know not how to start a nonprofit, ask me.
I've always said, Brian, and I mean it to this day, that I started this company, and for the first 5 years, and I've actually increased that to about the first 5.5 years, I did everything in my power to screw it up every way possible. I wanted to find out what wasn't going to work and what was going to work. And you know what? We're now entering into year 6, 7. And guess what? It's starting to come together. It's starting to look like, it's starting to look like we want it to look. So,
Again, I mean, same with us. We just brought on a brand new ministry partner last week. Okay. Safe Haven Church out of Paducah, Kentucky. This small little church heard about our mission, right? Invited us to a dinner and a service. We started talking, and they go, "We would like to be a ministry partner." Now, what do our ministry partners provide to us? Prayer. They share the mission, and they let their congregations know when we have like volunteer days and all that, so they can come and help. If somebody goes to our Facebook Facebook, it's not on YouTube yet, but you can see when you go back a couple weeks, our last volunteer day, 4 men from that church came and gave 2 hours. And that room is 90% demolished now, so we can start building it back better. That's teamwork.
That is. And look, we just got to keep this up. It's been a lot of hard work. There's been a lot of heartache. There's been a lot of, there's been a lot of sleepless nights. And Carmen, you can attest to this. That's part of a nonprofit world, is it not? Look, you're on mute.
Okay. Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
it is part of the nonprofit world. But you have to be dedicated and committed. And Brian is definitely that. God bless you, Brian, and all that you're doing for veterans. God bless you, Zach, and all that you're doing for veterans.
Well, I need to bring up a phone call from last week, and it's kind of bad news, but
Yeah.
it's got to be talked about. I need as many volunteers as I can get because I'm only one man.
Mm-hmm.
This phone is a diehard phone. Last Tuesday, not this last Tuesday, but the last Tuesday, I missed a phone call. Now, I call back every number, don't I, Zach? I call back everybody that calls. And all day Wednesday, I was calling this number going, okay, hey, this is Project Die Hard. We missed your call. And in the afternoon, this woman answered. And she goes, I'm the mother. We lost him at 3:03 a.m. Wednesday morning to the demons side. Do you know how that makes me feel?
Yeah.
I missed the phone call because I was sleeping.
It Look, that's not a phone call you would ever want. You know, I mean, it there's no way sugarcoating it. I can't say, I can't say, you know what, the truth is, Brian, he was already gone. That doesn't make it any different. It doesn't make it any different. That was still a family who could have used your help. But I'm just going to say this from friend to friend, okay? As a guy who loves you with all my heart, I'm just going to say this, all right? You do everything that you can do, and as much as it pains you right now, you got to sleep, brother. You got to sleep. And unfortunate, I feel for you. I feel your pain. I know how passionate you are on this, but you cannot beat yourself up, brother.
I got it. My mind says no problem. You need to sleep. You need to take care of yourself, right? But it's just my heart. Okay. Every week, I get emails and phone calls telling me about this problem. I get phone calls and emails, and I'm on Zoom calls and I'm on meetings, and everybody asks, well, how do we stop this? If I had that answer, we wouldn't have this problem.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know that Forward Operating Base Rush, our first facility, works. Because on top of now, I got a praise report. You remember Jason? I won't give out his last name, but that veteran we've been helping, right?
Yes.
Got his own place, moved off the fob. Been clean and sober for 2 years. Got steady employment and is going into ministry. Our case study is complete. We know our program works. So we need everybody to step up, help out. Let's get this first facility completed. We've been talking to government. We've been talking to all these people. And everybody wants to wait till all the hard work is done. Then they want to come on and take the pat on the back. Not going to happen here. Zach, we will always be grateful for you because you believed in us 3 years ago. You believe in us still. We do everything in our power to let everybody know Zach and the Community Forward helps us. That's what we do to everybody that comes to this mission. Our best to let them know they help bring hope to veterans.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I've got wonderful, wonderful, wonderful partners who, are going to continue to do what they do every day, and we're going to turn this around. And we've had some very, very serious conversations over the last couple hours, and very painful conversations the last couple hours. It started this morning when we talked to a couple gentlemen who are very, very close to you, who were talking about how you guys had got a frantic phone call a couple weeks ago about an individual who was missing and had a gun and was in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, he was found.
Yep.
There are wins. There are wins.
We heard all about it because they are right next door to us, and they put it in a message to us, and we blasted it out in our networks because there was a veteran in need.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that they said, hey, we found them. I was like, yes. I don't know if we played a part in that or not. Doesn't matter to me. A veteran's life was saved.
Yep. And that's exactly what we need to keep doing. So, Brian, I greatly appreciate you coming on again, third year in a row. And guess what? It's working. We're launching it. It's growing, and it can only get better. It can only get better with the work that you're doing, with the work that we're doing, with the work that wonderful people like the beautiful Carmen are doing. We can only get better, bigger, better, and stronger. So,
of course. Yes, brother. Thank you for having me on. I got to get rolling on to my next big thing. But Ms. Booker, please get with Zach, and he can put you in contact with my team that can get you in contact with me and all that other.
Make those silly strings connect.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Thank you, and God bless.
All right. Thank you, Brian. Brian Gibson. Once again, you guys, he's been, look, he was one of them that was standing right beside me when we started this crazy idea of doing a 22-hour podcast. He was right beside me. He was one who was like going, "You're insane." And I'm like, yeah, no. Well, guess what? Yeah, probably I am. But you know what? I'm insane for a good reason. Carmen, are you able to figure out how to do that?
Yes.
Let's go on ahead and we can get started on that if you would like to get started.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Can you see my screen?
No, not yet. You just hit what screen you want to share, and then share screen, and then it should come to me, and I will punch it up on the screen. Go to the entire screen when you hit it. When you hit the present button, go to the entire screen and see if it pops up then.
Yeah, I went to entire screen and allow. Okay.
There we go.
Okay, great. Well, I'd like to talk with everybody about starting a nonprofit organization. But before you start a nonprofit organization, you need to determine, well, why you want to start it. Do you want to start to help the community, to help transform the lives of individuals, or to achieve a personal goal? And what does tax exempt mean? A lot of people say, well, what does it really mean for a nonprofit organization to be tax exempt? It basically means that a nonprofit organization that applies for a 501c3 or 501c4 tax exempt status is exempt from having to pay federal income taxes. And once they get that federal 501c3 tax exempt status, they can apply for state tax exemption and be exempt from sales taxes when they buy products for the nonprofit organization. And also, if the nonprofit owns real estate, they can apply for real estate tax exemption. What are the advantages of incorporation? You have to establish a nonprofit corporation initially. And that's what I do. I'm going to get to that a little later in my presentation. But the key is when you establish a corporation, it shields you from personal liability. You're not personally liable for the debts of the nonprofit organization, neither is the board of directors or the staff. You have to have a board of directors when you have a nonprofit corporation. And most states require that you have a minimum of 3 people. 3. You can always have more. I recommend that you have about 5 to make sure that you have a quorum. So when you have board member meetings and take votes, then the majority vote will rule. So you have a good quorum base to vote on issues at your board of directors meetings. And you have to take minutes of those meetings, document what's going on in those meetings, and put them in a binder. What is the role of the board? The board really is, the board of directors are people who make managerial decisions regarding the nonprofit corporation. They help to develop and maintain the organization's mission and plans. They help raise money for the nonprofit. They manage the organization's resources, provide oversight, and determine policies, such as gift acceptance policies, document retention, conflict of interest policies, the whole 9 yards. They really act as ambassadors, representatives of the nonprofit corporation to the community. Who should be on the board? Well, the board should be composed of a diverse group of individuals who are interested in working toward the organization's vision and mission and have the particular skills that will help to contribute to an efficient operating organization. How big should the board be? Well, as I mentioned, you need to have a minimum of 3. And you can have as many as you like, but I would not recommend more than 30 members on the board of directors because it can kind of confuse. It can cause confusion and chaos. What kind of term limit should board members serve? There are really no hard and fast rules, but basically a lot of board of directors hold a 2-year term and they take a hiatus for 1 year. So that's pretty much the standard, but of course you can make your own limits. How many of you desire to learn how to recruit board members and get committed board members? How to have effective nonprofit board leadership and have efficient board member meetings? Well, I've written a book and it's called The Nonprofit Board. And it's part of my nonprofit book bundle, which consists of 7 books that deal with board governance, fundraising, how to host successful fundraising events, how to get corporate sponsors for your event, the board chair manual, the ABCs of fundraising, and nonprofit sample templates, because the nonprofit sample templates has templates in it, such as a volunteer application and agreement, sample donor thank you letter, solicitation letter, press release, and a whole lot more. And the book called The Fundraising for Nonprofits has over 15 different fundraising ideas in that one book that you can use and implement on an ongoing basis. What should the role of the organization's founder be? The founders are real committed and energetic leaders who devote their time, energy, and money to making the vision and dream a reality. And there are different committees that a nonprofit organization should have, like the executive committee, which recommends actions for approval of the full board and sometimes acts for the board. Nominating committee, they identify, cultivate, and nominate potential board members. Finance committee, they recommend financial policies and review the annual budget and recommend it to the full board for approval. And they also monitor financial reports. Audit committee, they provide board oversight of the organization's annual financial audit. A development committee, which provides leadership for involving the board in fundraising and resource development activities. Strategic planning committee, that coordinates the board's role in long-range planning. Personnel or Human Resources Committee, which advises the Chief Executive Officer on personnel policy issues. Depending on the nature and mission of the organization, committees might also include marketing, program, public affairs, or education. How should committee members be chosen? Well, I recommend that at least one board member should be a part of a committee, not more than 2 committees, because you don't want to get overloaded and not be able to operate efficiently and make good decisions. So the committee size depends on the needs of the board and the organization and the assessment of how many people are really needed to carry out the function of the committee. Does nonprofit mean we can't make a profit? A lot of people ask me that, and this is the answer. The nonprofit organization can receive a profit. However, the profit, the money that they get, has to be put back into the operations of the nonprofit organization. Now, a nonprofit organization can have salaried personnel. They can have the executive director, administrative assistant, and also pay consultants. And that's well and fine and it's legal. And these are some steps for getting started. Choose a name for your organization, identify the mission, form a board of directors, prepare articles of incorporation and draft bylaws, develop a plan of action, because without planning, you're going to fail. Develop a budget and a financial plan. Establish a record-keeping system for the organization's official records. File for the 501c3 or 501c4 tax exemption status from the IRS. And then once you get that, you can also start applying for a state tax exemption, the sales tax and exemption from real property tax if the nonprofit owns property, real property. Other steps to get started are ensure legal and ethical integrity and maintain accountability, recruit and orient new board members and assess board performance. That's key and critical in running an efficient operation. So do you really like the time to follow all the steps that I've mentioned? You probably do. So that's where I come in because I do that. I help you from start to finish in establishing the nonprofit corporation, drafting the bylaws, the conflict of interest policy, the non-discrimination policy, developing your description component, which is a detailed description of the present and future services of the nonprofit organization, and of course, getting and applying for the 501c3 organization. So I'm offering a package deal for only $24.95, which includes what I just mentioned. Drafting and filing the articles of incorporation, completing the 501c3 application, drafting the bylaws, your description component, conflict of interest policy, and non-discrimination policy. So please call me. You can call me at 240-273-2584, and you can email me at info@compuperfect.net. And again, I'm offering the nonprofit book bundle, which is 7 books for only $150. So you can go to my website and click on, my website is compuperfect.net. That's compuperfect.net. And click on the Shop Our Resources tab. And then you'll see all the resources that we're offering. And we're going to give back to Zach's organization, nonprofit organization. Whoever buys, I'm going to put back 10%, donate 10% to Zach's organization to help veterans. So I thank you so very much, and I look forward to helping you move on the road to nonprofit success. Thank you.
That is so great. I love that. And Carmen, I think the one thing that is so important that you said, that so many people they get so tied up in the statement, how do you make a salary? You're a nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not, look, you've got to keep a nonprofit running. If you don't have and I don't want to, I don't want to sound like a jerk here, but if you've got a nonprofit where no one's got a salary, you've got a hobby. You don't have a nonprofit. You need somebody to be there to nurture it, to love it, to take care of it, right?
Well, you can still have a nonprofit organization and use volunteers. People are still doing that today because they may not have the financial backing to pay salaries to people at the present time, but in the very near future they can. So it's still a good nonprofit organization, so long as you have good volunteers that are committed to fulfilling the mission and vision of the nonprofit organization and supporting it.
Yeah, and there's so many different things, so many misnomers, and so many, like I said, there's so many different things that people just get really confused about the whole process. And I appreciate you coming on and letting us know what it's all about. You are doing some work with Les. You want to talk about that?
Well, I'm going to let Les talk about that.
Okay.
Let's talk about that. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. He joined us. He was with us on the last hour. So we will. And I know that he is working with you, and to get a nonprofit set up. And once you get that nonprofit set up, it can benefit you with all the work that he's doing as well.
Yeah. But I have book resources that people need to get so they can understand.
Absolutely.
What about board governance, how to get committed board members, how to keep them, how to develop a fundraising plan, get corporate sponsors for your fundraising events, and the like. So they need to get that 7-book bundle for only $150.
Well, that sounds absolutely perfect. It really does. Carmen, once again, your website is compuperfect.net.
Yes, sir.
So, and you can always find that on communitypayitforward.us. All you got to do is go in and type in Carmen, And it's going to pop up. Type in Carmen in the search bar, and your page is going to pop up. It's going to say CompuPerfect, and it's beautiful, and it shows your smiling face, and
Thank you.
you can contact her from there. So, Carmen, I want to thank you so very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for your support, and thank you for all the great information you just gave us.
Thank you so much, and God bless you. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, my dear. You have a great day.
You too. Bye bye.
All right. Goodbye. Nonprofits they're not an easy look. It's not an easy thing to do. It's really not. And there's so much confusion when it comes to nonprofits. I mean, there truly is, and you've got to be careful on everything that you do. You got to make sure that you've got all your, T's dotted and your I's crossed. Yes, I did that on purpose because I almost feel like my eyes are crossed right now. Make sure you call Carmen at CompuPerfect.net. Get a hold of her. Tell her that, you know what, I found you through Community Pay It Forward. When that happens, when you tell her that, she is going to say, hey, we're going to donate some money to the cause of your choice. So just had Erica pop up. Erica, if you want to come on, open your camera. Let me know when you're ready. So, we just had Erica pop out. I scared another one away. We were supposed to, and I wanted to bring this up. We were supposed to have a wonderful lady that I talked to the other day, someone who's a new mission partner in the family, in our family, the Community Pay It Forward family, Carla Lemon. And unfortunately, yesterday she lost a family member, and so she had to cancel. Please make sure that you check on your loved ones every day, and you show them the love and care that they deserve. So, with that being said, we are going to show the episode with Stephanie Simoes, the Goddess of the Grape, with One Hope Wine. This is our One Hope Wine segment, talking about the great organizations that we've been talking about all day. So here is Stephanie Simoes with the Goddess of the Grape. We'll be right back after this recording. And when that happens, we're going to have Kim Mosley, Susan Ahern, and Ryan begin. And of course, this is one of the segments I look forward to the most every year. One of my greatest friends, greatest cohorts, and accomplices even, I would say, Stephanie. We've worked a lot together the last 2 years, and we really started getting together right around the first show, the first 22-hour podcast, and then we started our program shortly after, with our dear friend Dennis Schroeder as our very first guest. So, oh no, he was our very first guest on Footprints. See, I'm losing my mind here. Our first guest was
we had
John,
Brian and Bart.
Was it Brian and Bart? Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
I know they were very early on.
Yeah. I was thinking it was either John Vogels and JR or Brian and Bart. Those were our first 2 shows. So, but I mean, just huge stalwarts in everything that we do. And, we've got Bart with us again this year that we're raising money for. And Brian's going to come on and talk and tell the story. I'm still hoping that JR can find some time, but with his move, he's been very busy. I'm even going to try to reach out to John, because John's got a lot of things going with a veterans camp here in Colorado that they're trying to get off the ground. So, you know, it's a wonderful thing that, you know, everybody seems to have one goal in mind, and that is the health and wellness of our heroes.
That's right. That's right. First of all, I just want to say thank you for having me on, Zach. I know that we've done a lot of work together the last almost 2 years now. And I know how important this show is to you and how it's grown so important to me. And you're right. You're right. Everyone has a similar goal in mind, and they're kind of going at it in a different way, but it's so cool to see the progress and the growth and the projects that are being introduced and the things that are growing and doing well. And like, heck, look at you and everything you're doing with your shows. They're growing and moving up on and upward too. So it's just so exciting. And so I'm just so happy to be like this much of a part of it.
Well, you know what? You're more than this much a part of it. You're a huge part of everything that we got going on. And by the way, I need to get a hold of your internet provider when you get there, so I can call them and tell them, hey, get your stuff together. We got to get Stephanie back in the loop. Steph, I want to start out with some of the ideas that you and your husband, that you and Paul are going to try to implement with this move, because I think it's really important that we start talking about it now, even if they're in the beginning stages, because I want people to be able to take and say, hey, how's Steph doing on this, and what can we do to help her?
Yeah. So it probably makes more sense for me to kind of take a step back for everyone to understand why we even chose to move, why we're going to that location to begin with, and what the homestead thing is supposed to look like, and then kind of what the other plans are around that, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So my husband and I have wanted more space for a long time. And so we moved up to Pennsylvania with the intent to move eventually a little further north, to have more farm space. Now, that initially came with, you know, the love of animals, wanting to have and grow our own food, but more just to have that kind of space and freedom. And it would side by side work well with our business, with having more space, because of the kind of work that he does. That kind of developed over the years. My son, 8 years ago, suddenly had some medical challenges that really threw us through a loop that made the farm dream even more meaningful to us. You know, we had to make severe diet changes. The last several years, we've only used meat from local farms. And, you know, so we've had to do a lot of things around his medical, right? So that kind of connected the dots, or at least it started to for us. We're like, the more space made more sense. Why? Well, because it's what we love, is to be able to be in nature and have animals and stuff, but then to be able to grow our own food, to be able to provide for our kids and our family in a natural way, that we saw was helping him, was really the goal in mind. So the thought started over 13 years ago. The challenges with medical, and lack of coverage for his illness and all of those things started 8 years ago. So as you can imagine, the financial devastation along the way, when specialty tests and things like that are not covered, definitely threw us off track for quite some time. And so for years, I've been saying I really wanted to be in Wayne County here in Pennsylvania. And it's so interesting the way, you know, whatever you believe in, the universe, God, whatever your belief is, but we found something in Wayne County, just not here in Pennsylvania. So it's funny how when something is for you and it's meant to be, it kind of aligns really quickly and without so much tension, right? Because for so long we were looking, and nothing really kind of came together. So anyway, where we're moving to is going to be the homestead, where I hope we can not only provide for our family, but for our community, for other families that might be like us, that are looking for those products, that raw milk, that, you know, those good cheeses, the raw butter, the naturally grown vegetables and fruits, and fresh eggs from the chickens and stuff. So I hope to be able to do that, not just for us, but for the community. But in addition to that, being that we're going to a rural area and we're within driving distance of city limits and stuff, our cabins for veterans, we really want to continue there. So there are some things that I do have in mind, some locations I have in mind. It's funny because there are in the one area that I have in mind that's within a reasonable distance from the VA hospital, there are a lot of 1 and 2 bedroom homes that are 1 story. Kind of interesting that you know, is already kind of set up in that way, where we might be able to go in and rehab a property really nicely, because my husband's the one with the talent on that side. I could come up with the vision and say, hey, this would look great, this color. Why don't we knock down this wall and make this like this? But he's the one with the magical touch, and really does the hands-on hard work to make that vision in here kind of come to life. So that is my vision, is to have many more cabins up for veterans, because Zach, like, you know, through the years of working with you, how many stories have we heard of vets not having housing? How many stories have we heard, horror stories of vets living in tents, walking out of tents and getting hit by a car? I mean, dealing with different elements and cold temperatures like we are in the winter now. Like, there's so many things. And we know the lists are so long. So if we can take our initial retirement plan idea of having real estate and having rentals, and kind of pivoting that to, why don't we have rentals that are going to help with HUD-VASH recipients to get them into units faster? So I'm really focusing on 1 story buildings, but hey, if something comes our way that we can rehab, that might be something that's 2 story, or different units that might have different levels, we can probably work with that. But that's what I have in mind. And I hope, in addition to that, one day we can get some acreage. And I was actually just sharing this with Janet, Healing Warriors, recently. I connected with her and she was wonderful with her feedback. Shout out to you, because she took some time to listen and give me her feedback on what they see with the requests that they get too. So love that. But I would like to find a few acres where we can put cabins, whether it's around a lake or just in nature, maybe with opportunities for gardening and things like that, where there are things for them to be able to do, but also a community of like-minded people that could support each other. That would be, in my mind, like a really great project to work on.
Yeah, that's somewhere similar to our friend Brian. You know what Brian's doing, except for he's got a one building with separate rooms for, families and the veterans, but then you've got to where people can take and have their time to go out and fish at a pond and just relax and let their mind relax and slow down a little bit, or have together lessons out there, or whatever it is that, there's so many different ways that we can go about healing people. And Steph, I think one of the most important things you and I have done together is we've been able to introduce so many different concepts.
Right.
And I know a great friend who is joining us today, Sarah Kuoku.
Yeah.
You opened up a new avenue, and she's talking about she's talking about pandas at other networking events now, and informing people about pandas, because you two were able to take and come together and bring things together and make that ability to teach,
right,
because you spoke. And it's so, look, we've done a lot of good things together. That's the best way to put it. But now you're working with Janet. She is one of the smartest people I know when it comes to nonprofits. I'm telling, she is just so beautiful.
Well, Sarah is wonderful. And I think we have
Yes.
a very similar approach to health in general, where we understand each other, right? Where some people might go, no, I'm good with the grocery store stuff, and that's fine. And that's fine if that works for you. I just found that being able to control at least that aspect for my kids while we were going through something eliminated some things that could go wrong, right? Or make things worse for us. So we saw improvements in doing those things. And I'd like to be able to continue to share that, just like Sarah is continuing to share that certain vitamins are helping with certain genetics, which is incredible. And Janet, yes, she took a few minutes of her time. I just briefly explained to her what my thought was on the project as a whole. And of course, I'd love to see things happen like this. Who knows
Yep.
how long things might take and what might happen along the way. But I was just curious to get her feedback on, am I on the right path and thinking, within this amount of time from a VA hospital, right? Because that's where they would need to go for their treatments. Some people don't drive. Maybe they need walk to shopping opportunities. So maybe having some areas like that. She brought up some really great tips, with hallways and aisleways in the home, making sure that there's nothing sticking out and that it's wide enough for a wheelchair, things like that. And just really like enlightening me on what projects and modifications they have to go in and help veterans with through their services. So that helps me, on the back end when we have a clean slate and we can do anything, making it work right from step one instead of having to modify later. So anyway, Janet, thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah, and again, I appreciate what we've done, because the fact we've created this database of people that we're all on the same page. Where some may see us as as somebody who's competing. There's none of us who are competing, because the truth is what, as much as we would like to save every life today, our goal is to save that one, because
Right.
if we can save one life today, we know we can save two tomorrow, and continue to go with that. But we need to save that first one to build upon success.
So since you brought that up, Zach, you're doing such a great job with not just bringing this up on the 22nd of February, but also this past year, after your last February 22nd, 22 hour, you said this is not enough and we need to do something more often. And you implemented Footprints Forward. And through that platform, you've connected so many people and really created this ripple effect of resources that people can go back and watch and connect with people that they may find, they have resources that'll work for them. So kudos to you for that, because you were the mastermind to push that forward, and it's really doing great. And I think it's doing great things for people too.
I know I was the one who thought about it, but I wouldn't have been able to do it without you, without everybody that we've got involved with that. And I've said that from the beginning. This show, the One Hope Wine Community Pay It Forward One Hope Wine fundraising event, it would have never, ever, ever been a thing unless you thought about what the hey, let's do a monthly show and let's talk about nonprofits. And you were like, yep. And we got together, and from that day, we've just been pushing along, doing everything that we can do. And again, as sad as it is that you're going to be taking a step back for a little bit until we can get your internet figured out. But you've found a great new host for our show. She's a little shy so far, but I think that she's going to do a beautiful job.
Melissa is wonderful. Yeah.
We threw her into the fire. We really did, with 4 other guests. She was kind of like,
Like, wait, what? No, I think she's going to be great. You know, just like when we started, we had to take some time to get into the right flow of things, but she's going to
Oh,
be
yeah.
wonderful. You know, she's got a big heart. She really wants to do good for nonprofit organizations also. So I think from that standpoint, we're all on the same page, and she'll be a great resource if anybody needs recommendations, you know, with the monthly show and direction for wine, because her nickname is Melly Winehouse. So
Yeah. Yep. So, anytime anybody has any questions for you, they can still reach out to you, even though you're going to be stepping away. And one of the things that you're offering is you're offering people a chance to watch the progress of everything that you guys are doing.
yeah, you can absolutely reach out to me. My email is connected to that link tree. That's probably the easiest way to reach me, and I do try to check that in a timely manner and get back to people. So so that's probably the easiest way.
Okay, so I am very, very sorry about this. Once again, we lost all internet. Second time today. First time, first thing this morning. And I greatly apologize for that. Look, thing is, we're not going to be able to finish the interview with Stephanie right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go on ahead and play that interview right after the conclusion of the 22-hour podcast. And there's such good information in there, and you can help these organizations by simply purchasing wine. But of course, you know what they say, that when it rains, well, Comcast is probably somewhere near and screwing stuff up. Isn't that what they say? It's what they're saying in my mind. So I'm going to bring on a dear friend right now. While we are waiting for our other guests, there was a slight delay in everything that we were doing, but Miss Diamond Drip has joined us. Diamond, how are you doing?
I am fantastic, Zach. That was more abrupt than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we kind of disappeared off the face of the earth there for a minute. I'm sitting here and saying words that I'm glad you guys couldn't hear because, like I said, the morning started with me on the cell phone, broadcasting from the cell phone for an hour and a half as they were trying to do updates. And so Mr. Goodnight, one of our very first people, it's been going around all day, all around the country, major internet interruptions, including cellular. You know what? I'm going to play the politician, and I'm just going to say that people are just trying to hold me down. They don't want me to talk. They're against me and everything we're trying to do together. Yeah. Conspiracy theory. Don't I look tough? So thank you for that. I greatly appreciate it. But how are you doing, sweetheart?
Yeah, I got caught in some of the rain. I didn't lose service, thankfully. But yeah, it's been a great day. I had an in-person meeting today, which, as we know, in this digital space, we don't have too many of those with the, efficiency of Zoom. But it was really cool. It ended up going a little bit longer, but I think it's gonna go in some good places.
Yeah, that's fantastic. We haven't known each other quite for a year yet, but this event today has, even with all the problems, has been amazing. We've had viewers from 2:00 this morning Mountain Time till right now at 6:09 Mountain Time. We've had people taking in and pushing us along and keeping us on and doing stuff, and it's been amazing. It's been amazing. We've heard some of the greatest stories. And Diamond, you know what? You and I, we talk quite often about, we wish there was just some way that we could make a difference in someone's eyes. We wish that we could make a difference for the veterans and just make them, change the narrative and change life paths in ways. You were, well, I'm going to let you talk about it. And you've been posting a lot of beautiful pictures from back in the day of your old service uniform and everything. Why don't you tell people about your service?
Yeah, it's crazy. I wasn't actually expecting that post to do as well as it did, but it just goes to show you the level of appreciation and respect that we have for people who serve, which is really, really nice. Even if they didn't, read the comments and they thought that I was enlisting instead of reflecting on reasons why I went in, but it's neither here nor there, just the appreciation and the love. My experience in the military, due to my depression, wasn't very long, but it did teach and reinforce a lot of principles and discipline that I think goes on to help in so many different areas. Many of the people who actually commented on that post talked about just years and years of service and how their experiences have helped shape them and mold them into these, upright, upstanding individuals. Like there were a few guys who were like, I was basically a knucklehead before I went in, and now, I'm a respectable young lad. So it's really cool to see the power of, what service, of giving your life to service can do. It was an honor for me, and it's still one of those things that, when I reflect back on the experience, it's one of those things, like I said, it taught me a lot, some good, some bad, but I wouldn't trade it. It brought me to where I am today, to include some of the struggles that I, went through with depression. I mean, one of our first meetings was, talking about the clinical trial that actually helped heal my depression. So
Yeah.
it just is another leg of the journey, the self-healing journey.
Yeah, I remember the first time I met you, it was at a networking thing, and you had talked about your journey with depression, and we were building footprints. And we, when I heard you say that, our goal was bring on people who have had different, different avenues of depression, different, just different ways of communicating and building strength, rebuilding character, rebuilding themselves. And yeah, it was really interesting hearing from your perspective on the clinical trial that you tried and what it's led to. We're going to be joined here very shortly by a lady named Kim that I'm looking forward to talking to her again. But her and you guys, she talked to me the other day, and I was like, I got to introduce her to Diamond. And the paths there were so similar in areas, not quite so similar in other areas, but it was just, I wanted to see what we could build from that area. Can you tell us a little bit more about your trial, your trials with this?
Are you trying in an effort to not butcher the name psilocybin?
I am. I plead 16 hours.
Yeah, I respect that. So my journey into discovering that trial began long before I had watched the Red Table Talk, but that was really the catalyst moment. I work out with my daughter's father on a frequent basis, and he always does the treadmill and runs. And I don't like running. I never liked running. I didn't like it in the Air Force. As a matter of fact, as many times as I could be sick with like a sinus infection, it was just like welcome, because it just meant that I didn't have to run. But I like the ARC trainer, which is like a combination of the elliptical and the treadmill. And so I like to keep my mind active so that I don't think about the fact that I'm working out. I was watching this Red Table Talk with Jada Pinkett Smith and Michael Pollan, who is the author of How to Change Your Mind, What the Science of Psychedelics Teaches Us About. It's a very long title, but most people know it as How to Change Your Mind. And there was this critical point where the mom asked about, why don't we see more African-American faces talking about, the benefits of this, what is science is proving to be like a miracle drug. And one of the things that Michael was saying was that, you know, or some of the reasons that came out of that discussion, it wasn't just Michael, it was like the whole table, but it was, you know, people don't see, you know, the same faces. Like there are certain things like a comfortability that comes with releasing yourself into the subconscious in that way that unfortunately marginalized people, we don't have that luxury all the time to just, you know, release and let go in that way. So that was a reason. Another reason was not seeing, you know, faces talking about the benefits of what it's done for them. And there was a discussion about it, you know, being like a hippie drug, especially with like when you think of Woodstock and Nixon's war on drugs. But that was really something that took the conversation in a turn, and they started to talk about these programs where people could actually become guides, and be that face of diversity in this new and emerging space. They also talked about clinical trials. At the time, I thought that being a guide, because you know me, I love helping. So I was like, I want to be a guide. But as I did the research on the programs, it was like no guarantee of clients, of income, of any way to pay back this investment. And so I did a clinicaltrials.gov search for my exact diagnosis, which is bipolar 2. And I was one of the last participants to get in. And of course, now with the work that I'm doing with human design, Gene Keys, and the spiritual piece, I know that there are no coincidences. That was very much something that was supposed to happen. And the trial really gave structure to some of the misconceptions that people have when it comes to magic mushroom psilocybin. They're used, psilocybin is the active component in magic mushrooms. And that trial, I always say it healed my depression in a way that I had been struggling to for a really long time. Like there were times where I would just lay on the floor, just looking at a spot on the couch or something, because I just physically didn't have the energy to move. I was just, this dark cloud of depression was just hanging over me in such a way that it felt good to just do nothing. And I was really hard on myself. And that contributed to the depression. Like I have to-do lists now. They're nowhere near as type A as they used to be, but I would be really hard on myself when I didn't, you know, get things done. And I'm an entrepreneur. When I put something on my to-do list, the only person half the time who doesn't know that it got done is me. And I'm putting all this pressure on myself. Like I've just promised, you know, thousands of people, you know, that I was going to do something. And the trial gave me the gift of self-compassion and self-forgiveness. And yeah.
Let me ask you a question, and we're going to bring in our friend Kim Mosley. Hey, Kim, how you doing, sweetie?
Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm blessed and highly favored. How are you?
Doing great. Diamond, you mentioned something that, and I'm going to tread very lightly here, but it's a question that I wonder. You made mention that why are there more faces like yours that aren't coming out as an advocate? And Kim, I'm really interested in your question here too. Is it racial? Could it be racial? If somebody sees somebody with black or brown skin, they're going to sit there and go, "Oh, a drug addict." They don't their first thought is not going to be healing. It's going to be something about addict.
You know, I literally just went through this with a friend of mine, got stuck on the side of the road for 15 minutes, was asking people at the gas station nearby if anybody could give him a jump. And he was racially profiled. He was seen as a drug addict. as a bum, as Mr. Nobody, because he has tattoos on his face. No one wanted
Mm.
to help him because they thought he was dangerous or whatever the case may be. And it grinded my gears. After hearing that story, it was just absolutely crazy. Now, in regards to racially profiled, absolutely. When it comes to mental health, when it comes to advocating for ourselves as a whole, we've always been seen, minorities as undereducated, as not equally, how do I say, brought up. Our upbringings are very different. And our spirituality as a whole has been muted throughout history. It's been stomped on, distorted for a very, very long time. So our own personal beliefs have been silenced. So when it comes to mental health, who really wants to hear how we feel about that subject? That's the question. Not a lot of people want to hear it from us directly because they just think, oh, whoa, me, we're just playing victim. And that is truly messed up. It's ridiculous. It's abhorrent, and it shouldn't happen. And I've gotten racially profiled when I first moved here.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
called out.
we're also going to have Erica Clausen joining us. How are you doing?
How you doing? Hi, how are
Doing
you?
good, doing good. So we've got two more people as soon as, or three more people on as soon as everyone's ready. Just turn on your camera and I'll bring you on. Erica, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm Kim Mosley's sister. I'm one of her oldest sisters. And I can relate to what she's saying, what you guys are saying about, being racially profiled when it comes to mental health, because of course in our community, Black, Hispanics community, darker skin community, therapy and mental health is something that you don't have, basically they tell you suck it up. It's life. Keep it pushing. You're not allowed to have a mental outbreak. You're not allowed to seek help. So it creates a barrier within that aspect of a human, of a general human who's really going through something mental, whether it's bipolar, PTSD, any type, needing someone to talk to, where we boil everything, we keep everything inside, and we are afraid to go speak to someone, we are afraid to go get the help that we need, is once because that's how we was raised, but also because when you do go look for the help, you get racially profiled. You get, basically they see you as, you're just here for the drugs, you just here for to get high, you just here looking for a letter, a free ride so you can go collect government assistance and not work. You want to be, it's something that we need to bring awareness to, that it's okay to go get help. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to advocate for your own community, for your own skin color, to let them know that it is okay to have mental, a mental disability. It's okay for you to feel overwhelmed and feel like depression is real. I experienced it myself. I've been battling depression for many years, and I go to therapy. I take my medication. I'm a single mom of 3. Of course, life happens, and not all of us are born with a silver spoon in our mouth. So it gets hard, but it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to advocate and speak and say, hey, you know what? Don't let no one's negative comment, steer you from getting your mental right.
Yet, Diamond, what's your thought on that?
I resonate with a lot of what's being said, and it just brings up some of those feelings from being in the military. I think I've shared previously on here that when I was in the hospital in the military that last month, all I wanted was to go home, and it just seemed like everyone was dragging their feet, not really doing what I saw needed to be done to get me out, until like one day everything just started moving really quickly, and they started processing me out. They got me a flight home, and I didn't care because I was like, at least I'm not in the hospital. I'm going home. I'm going to be with my family. And it wasn't until hindsight that I realized that I was coming up on 180 days. And after you've been in for 180 days, you're entitled to like benefits. You're entitled to get certain things to help you reacclimate. And when I realized that I was processed really quickly because I was reaching that, and someone posed this question of like, do you think that if you weren't, they would have, processed you out as quickly? Do you think they would have let you stay in and just, accidentally go? I was like, you know what? At this juncture in my life, I don't want to think about that, because that was 2014. So literally like 10 years later now. And I was just like, I have just chosen to accept that that was a part of my path. I don't want to go back and introduce these new stories that will somehow tint, but everything that has been said by Erica, especially, like, it's true, and it's really sad and it's really unfortunate. And even as Kim was saying, they want to hear about the experience, but not all the time from us.
It's pure insanity, and it's something that and I know this is coming from me, and I don't know what clout that brings at all, but I get so angry whenever we start talking about somebody getting something that another person doesn't do, that doesn't get, or something that happens, or there's this group that does this, there's this bullshit. Every race, every creed, every sex, every whatever you want to call it, there are good, there are bad. Everyone has the right to not be all right and need and want the type of help they can seek, that they can find. And there shouldn't be any stigma attached to it. We had a conversation earlier today, Diamond, and of course, I was thinking of you and Kim because of our conversations before, where, there are a couple gentlemen that are here in Colorado that are trying to, due to some of the restrictions with some of the psychedelics, they're trying to start a church type thing for healing. And one of the things that they told me, and I'm not sure if my blood pressures went down yet, but 2 times in less than 10 minutes, people were talking about how they have a buddy who went to the VA, asked for help, said, I need help. I've got thoughts. I need help. And they told 2 gentlemen, okay, you're on the list. The waiting list is 6 months. And one of the guys turned around and he said, I've got a gun in my mouth. And they said, oh, okay, so you're a serious case. 6 weeks. I don't know a whole hell of a lot. And like I said, this is only half a joke. I haven't shot a lot of guns in my day, but I think it takes less time than 6 weeks from a bullet to leave a chamber to go through somebody's skull.
I second that. When I had first gotten out of the military, my sister vouched for me. I was very suicidal, and I struggled. I absolutely struggled with the adjustment after leaving the military, because that's all I knew at that point. I was 17 when I joined, and I was 19 when I got out. That's all I knew. That's all I knew. And the only reason why I got out was because of a military sexual trauma case that I had to deal with years later. So I totally understand it. I had to wait while I was in basic training until I was bleeding through my pants, passed out, lumped over a tree, um, and a bent over tree, excuse me. And I remember saying to God, I want to go home. And I didn't even have a home to go to. And I didn't care. I just wanted to get out. I knew home was on the other side of the base, on the outside of the gates and everything. I knew that staying there at that time was detrimental not only to my mental health, but my physical as well. And when I got out of the military, I had to battle for years with my health because it deteriorated because they never listened to me. One, as a female, that's a double whammy. To be a female and to be of color, that is a double whammy in the military as a whole. So you have two things that are not going well for you. Your skin color, you're gonna get passed up for jobs, and you're gonna get passed up for rank, and you're gonna get passed up for things that you know damn well you can do right, and even better than most, and you'll still get passed up. And healthcare can go out the window because if your skin isn't light, you're not the right candidate for the hospital. You don't matter. And it's sad because that goes on in the military too. I experienced that being a female. I experienced that being of color. I experienced that just because of my rank. I had mosquito wings.
I do. I'm currently now living in Rochester, New York, and I do community outreach. I go out feed the homeless, and the amount of veterans that are in the streets here. We have a place called Tent City. No help, no resources. They treat them as, you just an alcoholic, you're just a drug addict who live in the street. But when you take the time to go out there and have a conversation with each individual, you will get to know that the person, they're drinking their pain away. They're drinking because they have no help. They're drinking because their family sign up to be their caregiver and are taking their benefits and kick them in the streets. It's two of them here who I help. I try to get them connected to different organizations to get the help that they need to be able to retrieve those benefits back from the family members. It's ridiculous. It comes to a point where we have all these veterans who gave up pretty much their life, their freedom, their youth to fight for us to be a free country, and protect us, each single one of us, no matter the color we are. But yet when they come home with these mental disabilities or physical disabilities, we turn our back on them. And it's like, when does it end? When does it stop? When do we give the veterans the respect that they need and deserve? They earned that. They went out there and fought. They came back with all these mental problems and all these physical issues, and we can even give them affordable housing or give them the medication that they need, or make sure that they eat. I don't have no help. I don't have a non-profit organization. Everything I do it out of my kindness of my heart, because my sister's a veteran. I have families that are veterans, and I went through what she went through. I lived it with her when she came back home. And and it's so many out here that have no one. Their families want nothing to do with them. And then they go to the VA here. We have like the VA shelter and the VA clinics, and it's like 30 hours for them to even be seen. I work with New York State health insurance in the marketplace, and I work for organ transplants. And the amount of veterans that die every day waiting for a transplant because the veterans hospital, to be able to receive a medical record, it's the most tedious job that you can think of. It breaks my heart every time I call one of these veterans hospitals and I'm trying to obtain a very important medical record and they do not answer the phone. It's 30 days for them to even look at the paper that you send them. It takes another, 60 days for them to process it. It takes another 30 days for them to send it out. And half the times, we don't even receive the medical record. And this one veteran that was already online waiting for that transplant dies because of the, and it baffles me and it gets me angry because I have so many family members that fought and are still active in the military, and I can only imagine what is waiting for them when they come back home. Is this the care that our veterans deserve?
It shouldn't be. And I remember calling you every freaking time that I had a suicidal ideation.
Yeah,
Call
plenty
them.
times.
And you told me to call them, right? And I would have them on three-way with you, and they would specifically tell me, "Ma'am, you only have ideations. You're not a threat to yourself or anyone."
Yeah,
And I'm sitting there going around the hell loop in my head, thinking, "How can I kill myself? How can I end this? How can I How can I just go a fucking way? How?" And I can't. I can't until I call you and I talk to you, and then you break it down with me and you tell me, "Sis, you don't want to die. You just want your problems to. It's okay. You got family. Come over here. Come over here. Spend some time with me and the kids. Come on.
it's
Come over."
so many suicidal veterans here in Rochester, New York, and then I was born and raised in New York City, so just from different cities, coming from a big city like New York City, doing the outreach work that I do, and then coming here, it's like, when does it end? When do we give that priority to everyone, but specifically our veterans? Our veterans are being forgotten, and it's not fair.
Yeah.
It's time for someone to stand up and fight and get these veterans the help that they need.
Well, one of our definite goals is to have more people, Erica, like you with your sister, have somebody who can, step in at that time, step in and confidently say, "Hey, not yet.
Yeah.
Slow down. Let's talk about this." I'm gonna bring in a dear friend of ours, a dear friend of mine, Susan Ahern, to this conversation. Susan, how are you doing, sweetheart?
Sorry, I do this every time.
That's quite all right. Susan has law enforcement background, and she was also injured when she was in law enforcement, and so where the similarities are there, there's also a little bit of a difference. But I mean, the thing is, let me ask you, Susan, when you went to go and try to get assistance after you were injured, I don't even have to finish answering the question. This is what scares the hell out of me.
Yeah.
I don't even have to answer the question before,
You need to throw
Yeah.
it away and get a new one.
yeah. So, but what was your experience? What did they say? What was the reaction?
I had to prove that I was injured, which was crazy. You really have to prove. And then after several doctors and surgeries, then you have to prove that you're not faking it, or you I didn't get the understanding that their concept or grasp of why I have to prove that I got run over by a car. How do I, other than it just didn't make any sense, and it still doesn't. 20 years later, I'm still advocating for my wellness, and you need an advocate. You need somebody. You need someone in your corner that you can trust, that keeps the wolves at bay and lets you focus on healing and not fighting for it. You can't fight and heal at the same time, and that's huge.
Yeah, fighting anything while you're fighting with yourself. You keep hearing that. You keep hearing the word, well, you're not as bad as you think, or we can't find nothing, or all these other things. You sit there, and after after a while, you begin to wonder, well, am I the one full of shit? Am I the one who doesn't understand what's going on? And it just, look, this is, it's abhorrent. I see, I mean, first off, and I have never seen Diamond so, her face does not look down. She's always smiling. She's always, but I understand that how difficult this conversation is. And I appreciate, all four of you stepping up to talk about this, because it's something that, look, I searched and searched and searched for an organization out there that we could try to benefit from this, that took care of the females, because you do go through different stuff. The trauma's different. It's completely different, where every single one of us, we're all basically the same, few exceptions. I weigh more than all four of you put together, but we're still, we should be treated the same. We should be, again, no matter what the treatment is, we should be able to go out and find the treatment that's good for us. Find the treatment that's good for you. Not be told what treatment is good for you, because how in the hell am I going to tell you what's good for you? I may know you, but I'm not you.
As a trauma processing specialist, that's one of the things that I want to implement as part of my program when I do gain the funding to have, an actual location for these services. So that's something that I'm looking to, bring on board, because when you get processed out the military, there's no preparation to prepare you for the real world.
Yep.
None whatsoever. They're just like, okay, thank you for serving. Goodbye. They get you a plane ticket.
Go home, figure it out.
Because I called my sister. I was like, hey, sis, I'm out. And then she's like, all right, come home. And I was like, what home? I don't have a home. She's like, you always have a home. You just figure out how to get here. The military sent me to Puerto Rico, not New York. The military sent me to Puerto Rico because that's where I was enlisted from. So they said the last place that they had record of my legal residence, which was screwed up, because when I went back home, I ended up homeless and I was sleeping in the park.
We had to go rescue her from Puerto Rico.
Thank you.
And they didn't care. They didn't bother to call emergency contact next to King, knowing that she was coming out, with injured and with, her mental. They just shipped her off and no care. And it's sad, because that's what they do to our soldiers, our veterans. They like use them and dispose them like a dirty diaper.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. And it's sad.
It is. It's sad, and it's disgraceful that anyone gets treated like that, especially someone who gave up of their time, their free time, to sacrifice for our freedoms. Susan, can you please talk real quick about your treatment, what you are beginning to do, and your modality and everything that you're working hard to get started up?
Oh, yeah, sure. So actually, can I reroute this and go a little bit outside of this? I want to just focus back into a topic that women don't, I don't know, the medical community just kind of skirts over, is that women have totally different issues. We have different reproductive issues. We have a whole sorts of stuff that can go wrong that they really never want to address. It's almost like the medical community is embarrassed or awkward about it. They don't want to address those things that come into play, that we need the special attention. We need different stuff. And we're just not given that when we're injured.
Especially childbearing years. Absolutely. Because when we get to a certain age, like me and my sister, we end up developing what's called ovarian cysts. And those things are absolutely painful. And when they burst, all they do, they send you to the hospital, they medicate you, then they send you home. But if you're our skin color, what do they do? Oh, you're seeking drugs. We got to do all these tests, make you sit in that bed. And I didn't mean to take from you, but I just wanted to say this real quick. Take you, okay? We're going to take you and put you into a bed. And we're going to wait until all these tests are done before we even give you a freaking Tylenol for your pain. Because we want to make sure you're not here to take advantage of the opioids that we have access to.
Right, because they automatically assume that that's why you're there, and that's horrible. And if it has any, and reproductive pain is so excruciating. It's so excruciating. And then you have to prove that that's what that is. And then you have to prove that you're not a drug addict just to get some pain relief. And it's just not acceptable. It's not right. And it shouldn't matter what sex you are, what color your skin is. Care should be care, and treatment should be open for everybody who needs it. And I know that there's huge problems within that, but I don't know. I don't have the answers. And I think we need to talk about it so that we can find it, because people don't want to talk about that.
Well, I think the medical field just shouldn't, they shouldn't be able to just judge.
Yeah.
No,
they shouldn't.
Yeah. Guess what? We've all got our opinions, but if you want me to keep mine to myself, keep yours to yourself. Because if I see you speaking out against someone that I love, that I care about, I'm not going to be nice about it. I've told you, Susan, I've got to tell you this, that when I walked around with a broken neck for 3 years, 3 years, because they told me I was drug seeking. Now, of course, at that point in time, I looked a little bit different than I do now. I had a lot of leather on, and I was the biker, prototypical biker, but still. They told me that exactly what they said to you, Kim, is that I was there drug seeking. And it's like, fine. And I literally looked at him and I said, fine, send me to your effing drug doctor. Get me high. That way I don't feel the pain anymore in your mind. And it was the drug doctor who actually sent me to go get the images where they saw the break in my neck. And he was like, no one's ever scanned your neck. And I'm like, I was in a motorcycle accident. They put plates in my head. They never looked at my neck. No, we can't find any. It's like going, oh, thank God for this. So, but yeah, this is just, look, again, these stories are so, they're heartbreaking, but let's change the mood here. Okay, let's talk about the healing.
The medical care system as a whole lacks empathy and compassion. I literally went through this the other day when I changed the whole entire outcome. My sister knew that I had to get a procedure done, and I had to get it rescheduled for the second time. The lady automatically assumed I was on drugs. She flat out asked me, have you taken any mind-altering drugs today? Because you know it's going to affect your procedure. What? Hold up. What? So me praying to my, me praying and me going into a deep meditative state so that I can deflect the pain when a foreign object is entering my body in a super invasive way. To you, I'm on drugs, but I'm doing everything in my power to make sure I don't feel the pain, because, hello, nobody gave me any pain meds for this procedure. I'm cold turkey. I didn't take anything. Then she proceeded to ask me, ma'am, have you taken any marijuana? What does marijuana have to do with anything? What do psychedelics have to do with anything? What does me being on anything have to do with the outcome of my procedure? Because you already took a urine test and obviously you saw that it was clean. So why are you persisting on asking me these questions? Okay, no problem. I got dressed. I got up. I said, who is your supervisor? Went over to the supervisor. Supervisor looks at me and goes, I'm 22 years sober. I am so sorry that happened to you. The stigma needs to end. How can I help? I said, you can help by allowing me to come in here and help these people, your employees, learn, okay, about compassion, about empathy, about being a good human being, and actually wanting to care about your patient mentally, physically, and emotionally. Because that's my second time in there. That lady recognized me. I literally backed up when the lady came towards me because all I could think of was her sticking it
Oh,
out. That's invasive. That's invasive. Every single female on here knows exactly what I'm talking about. A tube inside of a tube that's already in your body. That's the size of the hair. A hair strand. And you're putting something else in there to expand it. The thought of that alone just killed me. I was like, you know what, God? I'm going to take this as a sign. If I'm going to have somebody's son or daughter, it's because I willed it. It's because you blessed me with that son or daughter. Okay? I don't need this test to determine whether I'm fertile or not. I'm done. I'm done with the healthcare system as a whole at this very moment, because now I have to go ahead and form a whole I have to form a whole rubric together just to figure out how I'm gonna, you know, how I'm gonna teach this class that now I'll be able to put my 2 cents into and give them a different perspective from a patient's point of view, not from a medical professional's point of view, but from a patient's point of view. I'm a practitioner as well, but when I'm going to the doctor's office, I am a patient. I am not a practitioner.
right. Yep.
And
So-
and always remember that you have the right, if you're not comfortable, to say, I'm not comfortable with this technician. And if that means rescheduling, at least you're saying it very clearly. You're very calm. You're not being a crazy Karen. I'm not comfortable with this technician. I would like another one. And that just brings the awareness. It's just, we have that right. We don't think that it's like, what are our rights? And until someone says, oh, no, you don't have to do that. If that doesn't feel right to you, you just say, no, I'm not comfortable, and it's okay. You know?
Susan, can you
Yep.
tell us about your plans and what you're?
Yeah, sure. So what, so being in constant pain, and not getting the right treatment, not getting the right medication that I needed to along my wellness journey, I wanted to be able to teach what I kind of have accumulated along the path. And so I was through all the different medications, I realized I had a very rare um, medication allergy to a lot of medications. And that really was hindering like my process of healing. So I had to kind of look and teach and learn from different teachers how to manage my pain without medication. I would have loved to have had medication, but I wasn't able to. So then I go, okay, well, how do I heal? Because I can't go around being in pain. And it takes a lot of accountability. Like I have to be accountable for what's happening here. And I have to slow down. I have to, I have to have my list of things that ahead of time that might work at that moment. And you never know. You just don't know. Pain makes you crazy. Pain totally changes the way you're thinking. So you have to be ahead of the pain before it happens. And so through different holistic modalities, have I learned to be able to kind of, I don't always win, but I've learned to be able to at least feel like I'm in control of a very out of control situation. And so that is kind of what I do. I wish I did more of it because people our first human instinct is to go with medicine. But once you've gone through the medicine route, you realize, oh, that's not helping. Or I can use medicine along with holistic practices, and they work together really well.
See, Susan, I actually really think that one of the reasons why we go with the medicine first is because we're told that, you know, the other stuff is voodoo, or, you know, the other stuff is fake. But I hate to do this to you, Susan, because I know how much you've had to deal with pain. But look who decided to show up.
Oh, talk about a pain.
Yeah, royal pain in the ass. So, yeah, he was our first guest this morning. He got to sit there and play host while I was trying to deal with do this show on my iPhone. Ladies, I hate to say that we're out of time, but we're running out of time. What I want to do is I want to go around real quick, and Diamond, if I gave you a magic wand and you could wave it around and people would start doing something to make the world different, what would it be?
I feel like my answer is always the same here, but it's for good reason. If everyone at the very least microdosed with psilocybin, really got out of their ego and was able to step in and embrace that empathy that we're all speaking about today, I think it would be a huge shift in consciousness. Yeah.
What about you, Erica?
Like Diamond said, empathy, love, understanding, inclusion, and judgment free, for everyone to just listen. Medicine is not always the one thing to go to. I'm more of a herbalist. I like more like, herbs, teas, stuff like that, natural. That's the way to go. Just, be human, have human compassion, don't judge. There's good and bad in everything, in every race and in every culture.
Right. Yeah, cannot be said better than that. Kim?
Whoa, a bunch of things. One thing. Gosh, the world needs a lot of work. Thank you, sis, for being on here with me, by the way. I love you.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Let's see. Where do I start and what's most important? Well, first of all, none of us is God. Let's just put it that way. We're not. Second of all, none of us should be the judge, the jury, or the executioner. So therefore, if we all had the same mindset of, I'm not going to judge you for your indiscretions because you're not going to judge me for mine, because there's no contest here. Because if there was, the person judging is probably the person that has the most discretions, okay? Just lack of judgment. Come from a place of love and optimism, and actually think outside the box. Think when you're looking at a situation, think about it from different angles, because there's different sides to a story, and sometimes you need a little bit more information to make your own opinion on things, and to figure out what the truth is that comes out of that story, because you miss a lot of detail because of your preconceived conceptions.
I love it. Susan?
I would say compassion, because when you're in a state of being able to be compassionate with yourself first, and I think that's where we need to start, is because that's hard. We if we're judging others, we're definitely hard on ourselves. So if everyone could just have a little more compassion and be able to show that and share that and live it, that would be huge. I think everything else would just kind of trickle because love's in there and joy is in there and everything else is in there. That lack of judgment. Yeah.
Well, ladies, I would like to throw out the offer that maybe we can all find a time to get together and we can record another podcast and continue to talk about solutions on what we need to do. Okay. Let's and we can bring that up and see what we can do there, because unfortunately with again, and Sean, get this, my internet failed again. But and it kind of screwed timing up and everything, and it's messed things up a little bit. But I would love to send an invite to you all for us to get together again and talk about this. Erica, I would love to talk to you about how Community Pay It Forward can help what you do. We can help you obtain some of the things that you do. You do good in the community, and that's what we're about. So
That would be awesome.
But Diamond, thank you. Erica, thank you. Kim, thank you. And Susan, thank you so very much. I love you all, and thank you for your time. I am sorry that this was a painful episode, but please let's get together and let's talk about the healing.
Yes.
There's hope in healing.
There is hope. Love can heal all.
Well, you know what? My magic wand would be tolerance and stop being ignorant. That would be my first thing. Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it's not right. So, that's for this hour. That's what my magic wand said. Earlier, my magic wand gave everybody a chocolate sundae, but I was kind of hungry, so that's where I went with that. And I'm a fat guy, so my stomach leads me wherever I go. But all right, ladies, I love you all. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys. Yes.
All right. We are continuing with this mission. We've got I've got one more hour, and then the Things crew is going to come on up, and they're going to take over for a little bit. This is a very special hour because the gentleman who is giving away our trip is joining us right after we get back on, after I do my thank yous to everyone. We kind of lost track of the thank yous. Thank you to the internet, the pain in my butt net, or whatever you want to call it. But remember, we've still got a little bit of time. All you have to do, tag 2 of your friends, or tag 4 of your friends. Sorry, 4 of your friends and 1 nonprofit. We want that nonprofit so we can give them a little bit of a boost today. Make sure that they know that you're talking about them. That way we can get them out there and say, hey, you know what? We're trying to change the world. We're trying to come up with ways that we can talk to each other. So 4 friends, 1 nonprofit, and you are entered for a trip to Cancun. Cancun sounds pretty nice here in Colorado. Even though it's not a bad day here, but still, the other day we had 9 inches of snow. That sucked. So, but as I've been saying all day, there's no way I could have done this without the help of a ton of people. And all I can say is, if you've been a listener, if you've been part of the show, if you've joined us as a guest, no matter what you've done, if you've been somebody who's donated, seriously, no matter what you've done, you've helped us put this show on. And all I can say, honestly, is thank you. And again, the only thing I can say to every single one of you is simply thank you. Every single one of you guys have made this possible. There's been a lot of things that have tried to get in my way to stop this show today. A lot of things. Internet and Facebook and internet, and my dog has killed me a couple times by like sitting at the door and gassing the room. But you know, we've made it this far. I think that I can last a little bit longer. One of the reasons why I can last a little bit longer is because of this gentleman. I met him at one point in time, and he loved the concept of my business. But the only problem is that we're not a nonprofit. And he deals with nonprofits. But the one thing he said to me that that I really took to heart is he goes, you know what? No matter if you're a nonprofit, we're going to find a way to work together. And we're going to try to find a way to help you, because what you're doing is fantastic. And it meant a lot to me to hear somebody go, not say, well, we would help you, but you got to give away 20% and keep 80%. You can't be giving away. That'll never happen with what we're doing. Okay. When a referral comes in, we give away at least 80%. That's it. Case closed. You don't like it? I'm sorry. I'm not out I'm not out here to make billions of dollars. A couple of 100 million, maybe, but that's down the road a little bit. Okay. But this gentleman looked at me and he said, you know what? We're going to find a way to do this. We're going to work together. We're going to get this done. I met him in Denver a couple weeks ago. It's the first time that we got to meet face to face. And he popped up with the wonderful idea that he was going to gift us this trip for two to Cancun. My dear friend, just an all-around great guy. Hey, kind of good looking too, Mr. Will Black. How you doing, buddy?
You're talking about a different Will Black. I did not deserve. That is not.
Yeah, you're right. You're not that nice of a guy, but
my wife says you know somebody else other than me. How are you doing tonight, Zach?
I don't know what the hell time is. Like I said earlier, I'm not sure if I know who I am, and whoever's wearing my pants has got a fat ass. So that's all I truly know. But you know what? I'm actually, Will, to be honest with you, I'm doing pretty good. The show has been, the show's been amazing. We've, some of the stories, there's been a lot of heartache. There's been a lot of stories that have been told. There's been a lot of, damage that's been unlocked, but that's a good thing. Keeping that damage in it's not good for you. And, talking to those girls in the last segment, I feel horrible for the questions I asked, but I felt like they were questions that, they need to be answered, because those answers lead to showing people how we treat women differently when it comes to stuff like that, or women or minorities or whatever it is, we lead to acting different around them. It's like, oh, this is a dainty little woman. We have to kit gloves or throw accusations and throw stuff at him. And that's not true. Women are tougher than you and I'll ever be.
Well, supposedly a woman's got like a 7 times higher tolerance for pain, and that's got to be true, because I wouldn't want to give birth.
No. There's times when my stomach's upset that I get in trouble. I'm just like, like when I fill myself full of Imodium on show days.
What? Well, and I've heard, and I was hearing you say, and I know that the internet has not made life easier a little bit today. You're not the only person. I think some AT&T explosions have happened around and some crazy rumors and everything else. But the good news is, just like the vets of the world, you keep going, right? A little blood, a little mud. You got a mission to do. Keep pushing, and now we get into the fun stuff.
That's right. That's right. You know what? Actually, after everything that we've had for a couple hours talking about this trip, it's going to be nice to kind of go, and relax for a minute. So, Will, why don't you go on ahead and first off, tell us about sharing the credit. I want you to really tell people how your organization, and I've mentioned this a couple of times, how your organization takes and turns money that does not need to go into banks into money that's going into great nonprofits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So thank you. But first, thank you. I would not want to do a 22-hour podcast, right? That is your boots on the ground. You do this is the much harder job. Thank you for giving me a slot. And you know what? The reason I said I'm going to find a way to help you is because you're passionate about what you do, brother. Right? If I have to interview a lot of charities, right? I talked about 50 charities myself a month. And every once in a while, luckily these are the few ones, but every once in a while, if Zach was on this side of the table with me, somebody would be talking and Zach would turn and give me a quiet kind of little side eye. And that side eye would say, how did this joker convince anyone that they are a charity and what they're doing? You never had that issue, right? You glow with your enthusiasm and what you want to do, especially for our veterans and your community. And that, man, hard to fake, right? Hard to fake. Sharing the Credit sees a lot of that, right? We are in funding for nonprofits. Nobody that works at Sharing the Credit hates their work, right? We're on the side of the angels. We are signing up to be the supply sergeants for all the worthy charities, fighting the good fight, all day long. And we do that and we say, here's what happens, right? You meet anybody when we go into a business. It can be a physical store, it can be a website, right? In e-commerce, doesn't matter. And we pay that business in plastic, right? We pull out our debit card or our credit card. It doesn't matter what we're doing as long as we're paying a business in plastic. Well, that business, and you're going to have some business owners and they're groaning right now because they feel that at the end of the month, what happens? The Visa MasterCard system, they come in and they yank their fees out at the end of the month, right? I have so many guys call that the pound of flesh. And right now you got business owners going, you mean 2.5 pounds of flesh, right? 3 pounds of flesh. They don't invoice you. They go and they grab and they tell you afterwards. You know that part. That's the boring part. It's the painful part, but it's the boring part. Here's what you don't know, right? Every time they do that, there's a chunk of that. It's amazing. It's upwards of about 20% of the fee that business is paying that system. Doesn't go to Visa, doesn't go to MasterCard, Discover, American Express. It doesn't go to Diners Club with Telly Savalas for the guys that are old enough to remember that one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
It just goes back into the system. But it's allowed, with the IRS's blessing, to go to a registered nonprofit. Ta-da, right? And that's the amazing thing about it. The third business we were ever introduced to was a car dealership doing $1 million a month in plastic. How did we get to talk to them? Because they love their charity, right? They had their own version of a community pay it forward, which was very honest and sincere to them. They'd been supporting them for years. And so they walked us right in, and we said, you pay this fee, and a good chunk of it could be going automatically. But you got to make it a win for the business, right? And that business, I mean, it's $1 million a month car dealership. They would end up saving something like $30,000 a year in fees. That's a big, sexy number. But again, $1 million a month, right? It's all proportional. But they're instantly like, you have our business. But that car dealership now gives upwards of $140,000 a year to their charity. And don't we wish we could all find that, but you don't have to, right? I've got groups. I've shown you one. You know, what they did was they took 20 small businesses and duct taped them together to make their, car dealership. And out of those 20 businesses, and that's 20, right? We're not talking Amazon Smiles where you got to have 80, 190, 397,000, right? They had 20 businesses. Those businesses do altogether about $2 million a month of plastic. Their charity gets $11,000 a month in ongoing support, month after month, year after year. They've been getting it for 5 years. And I love it. I promise you, I am not a socialist when I'm a rabid capitalist. When I say I give away other people's money, right? But the difference is you have a business, you're paying this fee. Part of it is an elective. That's crazy. Part of it you can say, but does it have to go back into the system to buy a bank president a new Lexus? Can I save puppies? Can I build houses with Habitat for Humanity? Can I feed the homeless? Can I give it to something like a community pay it forward? Well, you better believe you can, right? And that's the whole point. We're just now getting it off the ground. We've only been doing it for about 12 and a half years, giving away millions of dollars. I feel so bad about it. I'm going to keep doing it.
I'll bet. Will,
I'm going to do it till the day I die. So that's it.
One of the things that we really need, like the nonprofits to understand here is, guess what? Nonprofits, we depend on local business. Okay. There's local business that when we walk in, they know exactly who we are. They love what we do. They understand what we do. They see what we do every day. Right. Walking into some of these smaller businesses and go, hey, you know what? Can I introduce you to this guy, Will? He can help you save money. Oh, and by the way, then every time somebody runs a credit card, you'll be donating to us.
Right. Yeah, and you
What's
just
the
said
worst
something, right?
That can happen other than, maybe hell no.
Well, you actually just said two giant things, right? One, it's you got to save the business money. By the way, if you've had your merchant account a year, you're overpaying, right? If it took that long, the charity starts the conversation, but you got to save the business money or they don't move forward. But I love what you're saying because it's absolutely a little grassroots campaign. We talk to a lot of charities and they get very excited and they want to go after like a big box store or something. And I said, community, you have 2,000 businesses right down Main Street, all of which that could, and you don't need 2,000 to completely fund everything you need, right? And that's the beauty about it. They give us the ability, I'm going to date myself here. I don't think I'm going to offend anybody. I'm turning 55 next month. In the early 90s, right, it was important, that door sticker, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, Amex, right? That was important on a business because I'm just trying to get a burrito real quick here for lunch, right? I've got 30 minutes. Do I need cash to go into this joint, right? Or can I use my card, right? And, it wouldn't be into the early 2000s where we would really start making a big switch. But nowadays, if that business is using Sharing the Credit and they're giving in that way to their charity, we're allowed to give you a door sticker that says Visa, MasterCard, your business here supports, and have that charity's logo in color on their door, right? And that's such a huge blessing because, like I said, you've got businesses right up and down Main Street. They've got the cattle brand of their charity on their front door, right? And on the checkout page of their website. But the businesses, they get such a blessing out of it because they say, when you shop with me, you're automatically supporting this worthwhile charity. And right, nobody hates that. And all without saying, do you want to add $1 or you want to round up all the things that make you want to rip your hair out, right? Just give me my pizza and let me get. No, it's invisible except for that little bit of thing. But I will say one thing. If any of you guys would like to reach us, they can certainly go through Zach and everything. But you can also just email me at Will, WILL, at sharingthecredit.com. That's it. If you've got a nonprofit, we'd love to talk to you. If you've got a business and you want to support your nonprofit, I'm going to put you on, onto the for-profit side of the company, but they're going to show you how to do it anyway. Now, let's get into Cancun. That's what we're here.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this up again, and I'm just going to give a real shout out for this family, the Wilson family.
Yeah.
They have been, Terry was with me at 3:30 Mountain Time this morning.
Okay.
Terry has entered every hour since. So Terry has, and she's done such, look at this. She's put out stuff like this to all of her friends all day long. Help us at the QR code with the silent auction. She's been fantastic. Her entire family. They keep sharing, hey, we're doing great things. Get in here. Help us out. They're doing great things. Share the word.
Well, God bless Terry.
What's that?
I said, God bless Terry.
Yeah, I agree. The entire Wilson family. I want to thank you all so very much. And she was a great guest this morning, and she's done, I cannot thank you enough. I really can't. So, but yeah, tell us about Cancun, my friend. I've heard you might have been there once or twice. Did you make a wrong turn in Albuquerque?
I made the right turn, my friend. This is not Bugs Bunny and Daffy getting lost on the way to Pismo Beach. This is, I love it. I tell you, I really like going. I'm from Savannah, Georgia, right? People say, "Where's Savannah on on sea level?" And the answer is yes, right? So we freebase salt water here, right? You're up there, and when I go to Denver, I'm like, "Hey guys, your air, where do you keep it?" Right? Because in Savannah, and I've said this joke, it's an antique. We chew our air, right? We chew it. It's a little more prevalent, but there are two places I do love to go, right? And that is Cancun and Jamaica. The resorts are wonderful. The food is fantastic. The water, I'm going to tell you right now, the water, when you get in the seawater, it is warmer than the pool. It is an odd thing. I like to dive, right? I'll put on the tank and go frog manning out there. Both of them have such beautiful, beautiful water, but the food and everything's amazing. The trip I gave here for Zach, because I love what Zach does, it's good for 2 adults and 2 children. And you cover the airfare there. And if you want to upgrade to all inclusive, you want to upgrade to all inclusive, right? Depending on when you go, I love to go like the first, second week of October. Whenever I do that, let me tell you what happens, right? You're there for a day. Day 2, 60% of the entire resort leaves. You're like, is it something I said? And so then if you're in the jacuzzi, if you're on the dance floor, if you're getting a selection of wine, if you're doing whatever, 60% of the people you then meet are all vacation professionals, right? Because they know how to work the system, baby, right? It's like if you ever meet a guy and he works in the finance department of a car dealership, and so he owns a car, I always say this, for like 9 months at a time, and he doesn't even get a chance to wash it twice, because he turns in and gets. That's what these guys do, so they know it. And when you do it around then, the like all inclusive is like $500, and that's for 4 people. So that's like $125 a person, and all inclusive means everything you eat, everything you drink, you don't carry around money. That's just it. You carry around your room key. My favorite thing is I've told you this. I've said this on a couple of my of our announcements and things, because we give these away. We love to give these to our charities to let them have things to speed them up, and to do all the stuff they're doing. I say, guys, you think a manly man that right, whiskey, beer. I'm going to be hitting Corona and IPAs and what have you. Day 2, you're going to be on a pina colada. You think that's a joke? I'm a married man. I've got 2 stupidly beautiful children, but I was at one of these places years ago, and a real pretty girl said she's drinking a pina colada, and I'm like, did you wake up on the wrong side of the 70s? Right, the pina colada song. What's happening? Right, and she pushed her drink toward me and straw and everything and said, try mine. And I said, I would be willing to smooch this girl, so I will take a sip of her drink. And me and everybody that was in my party and everything else, and these people, we were all drinking these pina coladas. If you're a non-drinker, you can get a virgin pina colada. It's just a coconut and strawberry slushy at that point. When you are melting in the Cancun sun and you're happy about it, right? Because you're on your 3rd basting of cocoa butter, and you're being flipped over like a turkey in the pan. You need something better than just a Corona and a lime. That's going to warm up too fast. So when you're thinking, Zach, 9 inches of snow, toes in sand, melting into your chair, and I'll tell you this one. Almost, you can pick 1 of 3 different resorts with this trip, right? And by the way, yes, 2 adults, 2 children. You don't have to take the kids. We just had a group, and they're like, anniversary's coming up. This is going to get me a lot of good points with the spouse. It's going to be just us. And I said, that is allowed. You're perfectly allowed to do that. But there's all of these resorts, except for this one. There's one I haven't been to, but I'm sure they still do it because it's so popular. There's a bar in the pool. Zach, there's a bar in the pool. I'm going to say it again.
Literally,
in the pool, there's a bar.
Wow.
And you swim up to it, and there's a seat that comes up out of the floor. It's that rough kind of stucco plaster pool bottom. You don't care because you're kind of floating on it a little bit anyway. And whether you get a virgin pina colada or beer or whatever you're going to drink, or a not virgin one, it's a fun time to be had. And I'm a man who likes his food. It's like being in Valhalla when you see them lay out a buffet that's 32 foot, long, and there are 3 of them, right? Yeah. You're like, am I in downtown Vegas, right? What's going on? and then they clear all that, and then they put it all out, a new one out for lunch, and they clear that, and they pulled it all out for dinner. Or you can go, you do the all inclusive. You can go to any of these little restaurants. It's just a good time to be had. So
tell me about this. Well, do they have like really good fishing and other activities around there?
Oh yeah. And you can always add on, right? If you want to just go do different things. Here's one I'm going to tell you it sounds great. It looks great in the movies. It doesn't fire across in reality well. And that is riding a horse in the surf.
You told me about this.
I did tell you that, but I didn't get to tell everybody who's here or is going to, watch the recordings and stuff. It looks great in movies, but if you're there and more likely in a bathing suit or something else, and you've got horsehair and salt water on your legs and everything else, acts as an abrasive, and you will be chafed for the rest of your time. You also will learn to do this. Zach, we're going to end up doing this annually, right? I'm gonna make sure you get one of these annual. You're also got to learn to pace yourself, man, and listen, I want to say that whoever goes, pace yourself, because what happens is day 1 and day 2, when you're trying to kill yourself to do everything, because it's like, and you're like, no, you got 5 days, you got 4 nights, you're good. The best thing you need to do is you go for about a day and a half, you're going to kill yourself, and then you're going to sit there and you're going to melt in a chair. And you're going to turn off your cell phone, and you're going to go get another pina colada, or you're going to go scuba diving. So in the all-inclusive stuff, so much is built in, but there's always extra stuff if you just want to throw something extra in and go do it. But I always say, whatever you do, all-inclusive. Depending on the time of year you want to use it might be a little bit less expensive, a little bit more expensive. Like I said, I like to go at the end of the season, and then it's like, for me, it's like $400 or $500. It's like $125 a person for my whole 4-member family to go, and it's a good time. And I like food. I like food a lot. I like food so much. I indulge in it every day, generally multiple times a day.
Yeah. I seem to resemble that remark.
That sounds indulgent, I'm telling you.
Yeah, there's actually a reason why I just threw my arms up in the air. Look at this message, my friend.
What?
Just sent Will an email, excited to explore the possibilities for Healing Warriors program.
Well, Janet, I would love to talk to you about Healing Warriors program. Right?
Yes, you are going to love to talk to her about. It's a wonderful program. We had a great conversation around the 3 o'clock hour, 5 o'clock your time. Look, I said this. Will?
Oh, God bless you. This is so well done. Look at that. See, just in case people don't understand my Southern drawl.
Yeah, Will. The thing about Janet is this. She is such a great ally to have, because you know what? If a nonprofit asks a question or has a concern or something like that, and she hears it, she calls them and tries to help them through it. I've introduced her to a couple people at faraway lands, let's put it that way, who she has reached out, and they've become great friends. And Janet's helping them push their nonprofits forward. She's a perfect ally to have. She is one of the best people. You're really going to enjoy the discussion. She's already sent the email, so this is going to be fantastic. Awesome. You are going to love this conversation with her.
Awesome. Now, I'm going to tell you, just in case, whenever we follow up, I always say, I'm the boss, I'm the founder, but you can, your people can always reach directly out to me. But at the same time, on there is going to be one of my people, especially my main executive assistant. That's Alicia. Her last name is Bryan, Bryan. My email is a little simple. It's Will at, hers is Brian at sharingthecredit.com. And 9 times out of 10, whenever somebody needs something, because I'm the founder, right? So I'm talking to organizations all day long. I talked about 50 charities a month. Before I'm even off the call, she has it in your inbox, and that's a really cool thing to have. But again, Cancun. And I'm even going to say this. We're actually going to Cancun in like the second week of April, and we're doing a little bit of a thing. And if you have a nonprofit, we're opening up several. We've got a few slots left between us and our group of the Strategic Advisor Board we work with. That's bringing out several people. We're going to give a few more of these away to people if they want to use it to go to the April thing. If you do that, of the 5 days and 4 nights that we're going to be there, there's still going to be plenty of melting in the beach time, plenty of buffet time, plenty of getting one more pina colada. But at the same time, you're going to get to powwow with us, right? And while we're sitting there having a lunch, while we're sitting there having drinks, while we're sitting there doing whatever, we get to do some real deep dive work. And isn't that fun? This is the best kind of intensive that you can ever have, because we sit down for 45 minutes to an hour. We get to build off each other's energy a little bit, ask questions, and we get to come up with the ideas for our own groups. And then we get to go back and get in the sun and get a drink. And then we get to go have lunch, and we sit around and we chat it out and say, well, tell me about how I can better use the $10,000 a month Google ad grant system, right? And we walk it through, and then everybody goes out onto the beach for a couple of hours. Or one of my favorites, I'm going to pro tip. Most of these places have hammocks along the beach and a nice little shady thing. And it's really nice around 3:30 to go lay down in a hammock for about 45 minutes and snooze it and rest it off. And then like a little afternoon siesta. And then
what are you trying to give me, heartburn here? Come on, talking about siestas?
There are blessings from heaven, and they just
trying to give me heartburn. I mean, come on, siestas, talking about naps and stuff. What are you doing to me?
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. But it's a real fun little blessing. And we have a few more slots, and so we're just going to give away a few more of these. If people want to say, maybe me and another team member from my charity, or maybe me and my spouse want to go and use it, and then even we're going to be there 5 days. We're not going to do it nonstop, because this isn't a simple work trip. We're going to get to palaver. We're going to get to sit across from the table and have a glass of wine. But we also get to sit down and really do some intensive works under the excuse of doing the intensive work, so that we can all go and spend some really wonderful time in Cancun. And we're going to a place that on this one, it's not an option. It requires the all-inclusive, but nobody goes there without getting the all-inclusive anyway. And then I'm telling you, Zach, I know what it's like. It's hard giving up your wallet, right? It kind of feel that's part of your everyday carry, right? A man needs his belt, needs his wallet, needs his pocket knife, and when you don't carry your wallet, it's like, do I have clothes on? Like, what is wrong? But you don't need it. That's a fun thing.
Yeah. Now see what you started. Look at this siesta on a beach. Now this is how I'm going to spend my last couple hours is siesta.
Well, you're building up, right? You're building up to it, and And to the victor goes the spoils, my friend. But it's a great time. It's a good place to go. And it's not all work. In fact, it's mostly play. But I find it's one of the best ways for us as groups to be able to do a little intensive, because we do it in little 45-minute sessions, and it's more like a jam session, right? You bring out the bass. This guy's going to bring out his alto sax. Another person's got a little bongo drums or a drum kit, and you're just kind of jamming together. But what you're really doing is saying, oh, there are these 5 and 6 and 7 ways, and I can really unpack that and put rocket fuel, into the gas tank of my nonprofit. And so we try to make it as easy as possible for them. So we give these away. I'm going to say this. This one we're going to. One of my favorite things is for like a breakfast thing is a nice eggs Benedict. And one of the last times I went out there on the morning buffet, they had stacks of perfectly poached eggs and hollandaise sauce. And I think I broke a couple of chickens. Getting the chickens were like, really? We need a break. Hey, eat some ham, eat the grapes, eat the melon and stuff. Have a brunch it a little bit more. But it's good. It is good to enjoy.
Yeah. Well, I'm first off, serious moment here. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate this.
You do the hard work. This is the easy stuff. Any idiot can go to Cancun. Who's going to put on a 22-hour podcast?
Well, and I love the way that you said it. I love the way that you said it. It's like, you have got one of the best opening lines. It's like walking up with your hair on fire. Hey, I'm doing a 22-hour 22-hour podcast. Yeah, I love the way that you put that. It's like, you walk up to somebody and it's like saying, hey, look, my hair's on fire.
Right.
It did. It made me laugh, and it made me realize that, yeah, that is true. That is true. It's like, hey, look at me.
I'm you a walking exclamation point, because you're going to get some attention on purpose. On purpose, you're going to do a 20. Did you lose a bet with God? What's going on?
Oh, I just really enjoy this. I love being able to work with people like you, Will. I love working with people like the 5 young ladies that we had on just a little bit ago, 4, I guess. And all the other guests that we've had. I love being able to talk to them. And I love the fact that we all, no matter who we are, no matter the differences that we may have, we're all super focused on one thing. And it has nothing to do with ourselves. It has to do with focusing on supporting others. It's so important. It's so important that we, every once in a while, you know what? Hey, I've done some great things for myself. I bought some things that I really enjoyed for myself. Bought a couple of motorcycles. I loved it. Great time. But it's what I do for others that makes me me. I love the work that we do. And it's individuals like you who make this, who prove to people that, we've got something here. Because look, this is something that we get to give away, a trip to Cancun. Last year, I would have said, okay, we live in Greeley. We get to give away a trip to Garden City, which is connected.
We have a Garden City right outside of Savannah.
Oh, man, I'm from Garden City, Kansas. So, by the way, Terry, Terry says that she is your neighbor. When it comes to Savannah, she lives right by you. So the one of the potential winners, she might be able to come over and meet you to get the certificate.
That's awesome. Well, let me tell you something, right? And I'm also Rotarian, and for a number of years we did the not ringing the bell. We had to shake the can because we were in a mall. But at Christmas time, right? And you know what I learned? You can't cherry pick who's going to give.
Mhm.
You can't cherry pick. I don't get white, black, plaid, man, woman, young, old, strong and healthy, in a wheelchair or struggling with a disability. There's no way to know. You can't tell by on their face. I've had people with a scowl come by and, oh, here. You know, you never know. And then I got into this. I'm rabid capitalist, and I did not purposely get into nonprofits. I say God dug a hole and then talked really close to me until I backed up and fell in it and said, that's where I wanted you. And I now find that 80%, if that little, of businessmen and women, because a business is ultimately, it's a person, right? Community Pay It Forward is ultimately because Zach was behind it, pushing it, right? And had an idea. But it's just people. And 80% plus of businesses in the world give. And I find this to be in a world where we're being told more by the news that we have such a divisive culture. I think they have to push it because we're so much more alike than anybody wants to know. Because at the end of the day, when we look at all of those numbers, and you can try to break it up, by ethnicity or religion or age, and it never works. It's just 80% of America, if they have a business, man or woman, black or white, young or old, it doesn't matter. They give to something because it makes us feel good.
Yeah.
Right? It makes us feel good. And we've all at some time put $1 in the can or done something, and it's not even our cause, right? It's not even our cause. You see, you're walking by something and somebody says, you do this and we're raising money for the no-kill puppy shelter down the road. Well, your main cause, Zach, are your vets. But putting $1 in there doesn't make you any poorer. As a matter of fact, it lightens your step for the rest of the day. And there's a reason why that does it. So all I'm trying to do is create a self-licking ice cream cone. Because if you're in business and then you're paying this fee, if you're paying that fee, would you rather it go to something like to a bank or something like Community Pay It Forward? And if Cancun helps people see that a little more clearly, that is too small a payment for too great a blessing. And I think we should. I feel so bad about it. I think we should do it every year.
No, you know what? I'm in because it's made a huge difference. It's made a huge difference. It's people are excited. People are loving it. And you know what? It's fun. It's been fun watching people reach out to their friends and then their friends reaching out and their friends seeing what's going on. This has been, look, I love what we're doing, but this is the thing. Well, this is what we are doing. I am sitting here, yes, for 22 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But the only thing that's paying for that is my poor chair and the floor underneath it, because those are the ones taking all the weight of this. Other than that, I'm having fun. I'm learning lessons. I'm meeting people. I'm hearing story. I, once in a while, get my blood pressure up when I hear something that's just infuriating. But then again, I get ready to fall on my ass when I hear great stories. And Janet says something just perfect right here, that I've formed a family of organizations that are all working to get towards a common goal. See, that's the thing, is that my company depends on all of you to make this special. This has nothing to do with one person. This has everything to do with us. And Will, you are a huge part of us. And I thank you very much for being part of us. Can you tell us one more time? Go ahead.
It's too little. Let me ask you a question, though.
Yeah.
Do you have an idea as to how many people have tagged their friends and everything so far?
You know, I really don't. I haven't had a chance to look. This year, let's put it this way. Last year was a lot busier than the first year, and I probably had about 6 hours that I had alone time. Well, I've got 3 videos recorded that I haven't even had a chance to play yet. We have had guests.
Amen.
From open till close. Okay. We've got Things Network, which is going to be taking over here in about 5 minutes for us. Some great paranormal stuff, and this is really cool thing because we've got a gentleman who is going on the honor flight, and that is
really
special. Yeah. So
that is awesome.
It is. It's very cool, and he's out of Indiana, and he gets to go on the honor flight, and the honor flight is just such a wonderful program, beautiful program. We thought we were going to lose it here in Northern Colorado when we lost Cass. When Mr. Cass died, we thought that matter of fact, they did shut it down for a little bit, and the fight back was so strong. They were like going, okay, no, we're back. So thank God they did that. But yeah, the honor flight. Well, how did people get a hold of you, my friend?
I'm going to tell you, it is Will, WILL, at sharingthecredit.com. You've got it right up there on the screen, but I've got one more gift to give you. I got a challenge, though. Are you up?
I'm up.
You ready for the challenge? All right. You've got to time block it. You got to stamp it. How much longer in the show have you got until you finally rest your weary dogs and get to call it a podcast?
4 hours and 4 minutes from right now.
Easy. Okay, goody.
Uh-oh.
Easy.
I didn't even say it. Look at this.
Easy. Here's what I'm going to say, all right? Double or nothing. If your people, for Zach, this is for you. It doesn't go to me. I don't get any whatever, right? If you can get your people to tag 300 more people as of this timestamp until the end of your show, I'm going to give you a second trip to Cancun to give away to your people.
Holy cow.
You get 2. You
guys heard it.
Right? Now, I said double or nothing. That's total bunk. You've at least got 1. It's not double or nothing. Right? We always say double.
Right here. Terry says it. We got this.
Right. You absolutely got it. I bet you probably.
Oh my God. He's all confident. Look at that. I got it. By the way, just to let you guys know, the once an hour restriction is now lifted. Let's go. Let's get as many people on here as we can.
You get in 300 people from whatever you've got right now, right? And Sharing the Credit is giving Community Pay It Forward to 2 people, two set. Ultimately, there are 2 couples or 2 sets of 4, 2 whatever. We're going to give away 2 Cancun trips. They are yours, my friend. Too small a payment for too big a work that you're doing. I bet the trick is if your team does 300 in the next hour, don't stop and keep the momentum. Don't lie, but say, no, we need 50 more, right? Because people, at the end of the day, none of this goes to Sharing the Credit. This is so that more people know about Community Pay It Forward, right? This is just so that more people can say, we're going to actually do what what we say we're going to do. Zach's biggest problem with teams in the past is, Zach, you're not keeping the money you're raising and giving away this little pittance. You know, give away 20%, keep 80. No, you're like, I'm in the job of taking it and handing off it, you know, that like a baton in a financial relay race. We got people, they need help. Same thing with sharing the credit. We are the supply sergeant on the side of the Angels. Y'all are the Angels. 300 more people, not for sharing the credit, tag 300 people more, 300 more. Community Pay It Forward is going to get dose, something. Cancunese, my Cancunese is off.
You know what? But your English is just perfect. Will, we got to run. Things is coming up right now with their show. Brother, thank you. I will contact you. If not, if I wake up, I'll contact you tomorrow. If I don't, Monday.
That's all right. You
Thank
detox
you,
and I'll still be here.
All right. Sounds good.
Go
Thank
team
you, sir.
Community Pay It Forward.
There we go. Thank you, sir. Have a great night.
You
Okay,
too.
everybody, guess what? It's time for some paranormal fun. We're taking off for a minute. It is time for Jeremy, my beautiful bride, and the whole team to take over. So we're switching. It's going to change again. So just find us. We should be on Facebook again. Here we go. Oh my God, I've that's not good. I've logged out of my account.